The Summer I Turned Pretty Season 3 Episode 10 feels less like just another chapter. Belly has always been caught in this messy storm between Conrad and Jeremiah, but in this episode, that storm finally crashes down in a way we've been waiting for since Season 1 from the very start. You can feel the weight on her. She's not the same girl who was once so blinded by summer crushes and carefree memories. Paris might have given her distance, but it didn't erase her feelings. And this episode proves, once again, you can move across the world, make new friends, even pretend you're living a whole new life, but your heart never lies. What makes episode 10 so intense is how the writers don't let Belly run from that truth anymore. For so long, she's been juggling Jeremiah's warmth and Conrad's intensity, trying to figure out which brother could give her the life she wants, and honestly, let's be real, it's been exhausting to watch, but this time, the exhaustion turns into confrontation. Belly has to face the fallout of every decision she's made, every lie she's told herself, and every moment she's tried to push her feelings aside. Because while Jeremiah might be the easy choice, Conrad is the one who still lives rent-free in her head now. The real suspense hits when Jeremiah finally voices what we've all known deep down, that Belly has never fully chosen him. Even in their sweetest moments, there's always been that shadow, that ghost of Conrad lurking in the background, and in this episode, Jeremiah finally calls it out. The way he looks at her, the way he speaks, it's not the Jeremiah we knew before. This is Jeremiah with his walls up, Jeremiah finally tired of being second best. And honestly, that makes this love triangle more dangerous than ever, because for once, Jeremiah might just be ready to walk away for good. But if you thought Conrad was just going to stand quietly in the corner, you're dead wrong. Episode 10 puts Conrad back in the spotlight. And it's not just about love anymore, it's about regret, timing, and the fact that no matter how much he tries to protect himself, he can't stop loving Belly. There's a moment in this episode where Conrad's words cut deeper than any fight we've seen before. It's not just him confessing feelings, it's him practically begging for another chance, even though he knows it might already be too late. And that right there, that's the heartbreak that sets the tone for everything else. The tension is almost unbearable, because every character is holding onto something they're too scared to admit. Belly is still trying to play it cool, but her eyes betray her. Jeremiah wants to believe he's enough, but deep down, he already knows the truth, and Conrad, despite all his pride, looks more vulnerable than ever before. That's why this episode feels like a ticking time bomb, because someone's going to break, and when they do, it won't just hurt one person. It'll destroy everything they've all built together. And here's where the suspense really kicks in. Belly might think she's rebuilding her life in Paris, finding a new rhythm, maybe even falling for that French guy we saw hinted at before. But the second Conrad shows up, all of that comes crashing down. It's like the universe reminding her that no matter how far she runs, she can't escape the Fisher brothers. And now, with Jeremiah also in Paris, it's not just a love story anymore, it's war. If episode 10 has taught us anything, it's that timing can either save you or completely ruin you. And Belly, she's standing right in the middle of that. You see, the idea of starting fresh in Paris sounded so glamorous at first. A new city, new friends, a whole new identity far away from the drama of Cousins Beach. But what this episode makes crystal clear is that you can never really outrun the people who shaped you the most. Paris isn't the escape, it's just the stage where all of Belly's unresolved feelings finally explode. The crazy part is how ordinary it all starts. Belly is adapting. She's finally slipping into this Parisian lifestyle like she was meant to be there all along. She's working shifts at the restaurant, laughing with her new circle of friends, even finding comfort in the chaos of the city. For once, she isn't the girl torn between two brothers, she's just Belly, the American girl chasing independence. And yet, just when she starts to believe in this fantasy, the ghosts of Conrad and Jeremiah show up, dragging all of Cousins Beach with them. The second she sees Conrad, her whole Paris dream feels like it was built on shaky ground. This is what makes episode 10 so thrilling. You're constantly questioning whether Belly is strong enough to hold onto this new life, or whether she'll fold the second her past comes knocking. And let's be real, the second Conrad's eyes meet hers, we already know the answer. You can feel that unresolved pull between them like static in the air. It's not just nostalgia, it's something rawer, heavier, almost painful. And you can see Belly fighting it, because admitting it would mean destroying everything she's built since leaving. But here's the twist, Jeremiah's presence makes it 10 times worse. Because unlike Conrad, Jeremiah doesn't come to Paris to confess some tortured love story. He comes to put an end to the back and forth once and for all. And his arrival? It's like a punch to the gut, both for Belly and for us watching. He's not soft, not playful. This is Jeremiah with his guard up, Jeremiah who's sick of competing, and honestly, that's the Jeremiah fans have been waiting for, because Let's be honest, for too long he's been the backup plan. The one who tries to smile through the pain. Episode 10 shows us a Jeremiah who's finally willing to step away. No matter how much it breaks him. Now, imagine being Belly in this situation. You've built this fragile bubble of independence. And suddenly both brothers are standing in front of you, demanding answers you're not ready to give. It's like being trapped in a pressure cooker. You know the explosion is coming. You just don't know who's going to trigger it first, and that's where the suspense lies. Every single conversation feels loaded, every look carries history. Every word could be the one that shatters what little peace Belly has managed to find. The real gut punch of this episode, though, is when Conrad finally lays it all out. He doesn't just say he loves her, he admits he's been running from it, drowning in regret, and trying to let her go but failing every single time. And Belly? She doesn't know how to process it because part of her has been waiting to hear those words for years. And part of her knows that accepting them would mean breaking Jeremiah completely. It's that classic moment where no matter what she chooses, someone gets hurt. And for the first time, Belly seems to realize the full weight of the mess she's created. But what really shakes me is how Jeremiah responds. He doesn't beg, he doesn't plead, he doesn't even try to fight Conrad anymore. Instead, he steps back and tells Belly to make a choice once and for all. And that silence, that refusal to keep chasing her hits harder than any argument could. Because deep down, Belly knows what that means. If she chooses Conrad, Jeremiah might walk away forever, not just from her, but maybe even from his brother. And that possibility alone makes the whole love story feel less like romance and more like tragedy. Here's where the suspense reaches its peak because for the first time, Belly is staring down the reality that love isn't just about who makes your heart race. It's about consequences, sacrifices, and the people you're willing to hurt in order to be happy. And the way this episode frames it, you can tell Belly is starting to understand that there's no happy ending where everyone walks away smiling. Someone is going to lose, and the scariest part is, Belly might lose both of them. The tension builds with every passing scene, and the backdrop of Paris only makes it more surreal. You've got this beautiful, romantic city full of light and love, but instead of fairy tales, what you're watching is heartbreak in slow motion. Belly's friends might see her as this fun, free American girl living her dream abroad, but behind closed doors, she's unraveling, and in episode 10, we see her more conflicted, more vulnerable, and more lost than she's ever been. By the end of this section of the story, one thing becomes brutally clear: this isn't just about Belly choosing between Conrad and Jeremiah anymore. It's about whether she can even face herself, because if she can't be honest with her own heart, then no matter who she chooses, it'll never work. And the way this episode ends leaves us on edge, because you know the final decision is coming, and it's going to hurt like hell. The real danger of episode 10 isn't just the love triangle, it's the cracks it creates in every relationship around it. Because when Belly, Conrad, and Jeremiah collide in Paris, it's not just about romance anymore. It's about loyalty, betrayal, and the kind of wounds that don't heal easily. And that's what makes this episode feel so heavy. We're not just watching teenagers fighting over love. We're watching an entire family dynamic slowly fall apart. Think about it. For years, the Fisher brothers have been inseparable, even through their differences. Jeremiah has always been the lighter one, the safe space. Conrad has always been the brooding protector, the one who hides his feelings behind walls. And Belly, she's been the bridge, the reason these two brothers kept orbiting the same world. But in this episode, that bridge starts to burn, and once it burns, there's no going back. The most heartbreaking moment comes when Jeremiah finally says out loud what we've all been thinking: that he's tired of being second choice, tired of living in Conrad's shadow. It's not just about Belly anymore, it's about his entire life being defined by what Conrad does first. And in Paris, Jeremiah makes it clear that he won't let that pattern continue. His words sting because they're not fueled by jealousy, they're fueled by years of being overlooked. And Belly, standing in the middle, realizes this isn't just her love story, it's their brotherhood on the line. And Conrad? His reaction is equally devastating. For the first time, we see him completely stripped of pride. He's not trying to act tough, he's not playing it cool, he's raw, desperate, and brutally honest. When he admits he can't stop loving Belly, you can see the pain in Jeremiah's face, like a wound being reopened. This isn't Conrad trying to steal Belly away, this is Conrad admitting that no matter how much he's tried to move on, he simply can't. And that's what makes it so cruel. Because Jeremiah knows that kind of love can't be fought with charm or persistence. The suspense builds when Belly starts to realize the magnitude of her choices. Every move she makes now has the power to break the Fisher brothers apart forever. And this isn't like the summers before where she could run, hide, or pretend everything would work itself out. In Paris, there's no Cousins Beach to escape. 2. No nostalgia to soften the blow, it's just raw feelings. Laid bare in the middle of a city that doesn't care about their history. And that contrast between the beauty of Paris and the ugliness of their emotions makes the drama hit even harder. What I find wild about this episode is how quickly things spiral. 1 minute, they're walking the streets like old friends, trying to pretend they're okay. The next minute, it's all exploding, Jeremiah throwing down truths, Conrad admitting regrets, Belly breaking under the weight of it all, and every single second feels like it could be the breaking point. You almost hold your breath waiting for someone to storm off for good, because unlike before, there's no guarantee they'll come back. And here's where the show really twists the knife. Belly's so-called new life in Paris becomes nothing more than a backdrop for her old wounds. That French guy who once seemed like an escape, he's barely even in the picture now. Because Belly can't look at anyone without seeing the Fisher brothers haunting her. It's almost cruel how the writers dangled this idea of a fresh start, only to rip it away and remind us that Belly's story isn't about running away. It's about facing the mess she's been avoiding for years. The episode also forces us to ask the hardest question of all. Is Belly truly in love, or is she addicted to the drama? Because when you look at it closely, it's not just about who makes her happiest. It's about who makes her feel the most alive, even if that feeling comes with pain. And that's why Conrad still has such a hold on her, because with him, everything feels bigger, deeper, more complicated. With Jeremiah, it's safe, warm, steady. But sometimes safe isn't enough. And Belly's inability to decide between those two worlds makes her the most frustrating and the most relatable character all at once. The suspense doesn't just lie in who she'll choose, it lies in whether she'll even have the courage to choose at all. Because by this point, Jeremiah has made it clear, if she hesitates, he's gone, and Conrad, he's laying his heart on the line with nothing left to lose. That leaves Belly standing alone, staring at a future she can't fully commit to. And the more she hesitates, the more it feels like the whole thing is going to collapse. By the end of this stretch of the episode, it's painfully obvious that we're not heading toward a romantic resolution. We're heading toward a fallout. Jeremiah's patience is gone. Conrad's vulnerability is out in the open, and Belly's mask of control is slipping fast. And the worst part, you can see it in their eyes. This isn't just a love triangle anymore. This is the moment that could rip a family apart. And that's what makes episode 10 so terrifying and so addictive at the same time. You can feel that no matter what happens next, the damage is already done. The Fisher brothers won't be the same, Belly won't be the same. And Paris, the city that was supposed to be a fresh start, will always be remembered as the place where everything finally broke. What makes episode 10 even more intense is how the fallout doesn't just stay between Belly, Conrad, and Jeremiah. The ripple effect is massive, pulling in every connection they've built over the years. Because once you bring betrayal and heartbreak into the mix, it's never contained. Everyone feels it, and everyone reacts, and in this episode, those reactions cut deep. Taylor is one of the first people to sense how badly Belly is unraveling. She comes into Paris with her usual energy, ready to support her best friend. But even she can't ignore the cracks showing through Belly's carefully built facade. Belly tries to act like she's fine, tries to show off her new life with her new friends. But Taylor knows better. She sees the way Belly's eyes flicker when Conrad's name comes up, the way her voice shakes when Jeremiah walks into the room, and Taylor, being Taylor, doesn't let her off easy. She calls Belly out. Not in a cruel way, but in that blunt, best friend tone that Belly can't ignore. It's almost refreshing because finally, someone is forcing Belly to face the truth instead of letting her hide behind excuses. But here's where it gets messy. Taylor isn't just thinking about Belly. She's thinking about the Fisher brothers, too. She knows what's at stake. She knows that this isn't just about romance, it's about two brothers who could lose each other for good, and for once, Taylor is caught in the middle too. She wants to protect Belly, but she also doesn't want to see the Fishers torn apart. And that tension shows in every conversation. It's not just Belly who's conflicted anymore now. Taylor feels the weight of it too. Meanwhile, Conrad and Jeremiah's tension keeps boiling, and Paris becomes the worst possible backdrop for their confrontation. It's ironic, really. Paris is supposed to be the city of love, but for these two, it becomes the city of war. Every word between them feels like a challenge, every look like a reminder of all the pain they've been carrying. And what hurts the most is that beneath all the anger, you can still see the love they have as brothers. They don't want to lose each other, but the way things are going, it feels inevitable. One of the most powerful scenes comes when Jeremiah finally breaks his silence about the sacrifices he's made for Conrad. He admits that for years he stepped back, let Conrad take the spotlight, even swallowed his feelings for Belly just to keep the peace. And now, seeing Conrad bare his soul, Jeremiah can't help but feel betrayed. It's not just about Belly. Choosing Conrad, it's about Jeremiah realizing that no matter what he does, Conrad will always end up ahead of him. That confession is brutal because it's the first time Jeremiah truly says what we've all known. That his pain isn't just about love, it's about identity, about being overshadowed in every way. Conrad, on the other hand, doesn't fight back the way you'd expect. Instead, he admits his own flaws. He confesses to pushing people away, to hiding behind silence, to being too scared to fight for what he wants until it's almost too late. And that honesty makes the confrontation even harder to watch. Because in that moment, you realize both brothers are right, both are hurting, and both have valid reasons for the way they feel. There's no villain here, just two people trapped in a cycle of love and resentment that neither knows how to escape, and Belly, she's stuck in the center of it all, realizing more than ever that her choices have consequences far bigger than her own happiness. The episode forces her to confront something she's never truly admitted, that by chasing love between these two brothers, she's been tearing them apart piece by piece. And for the first time, you see guilt in her eyes, not just confusion. She knows she's not innocent in this story. And that guilt makes her indecision even more devastating. Because now it's not just about who she wants, it's about who she's willing to hurt. The suspense builds when Taylor urges Belly to take a step back, to breathe, to figure out what she truly wants before making another move. But Belly, being Belly, can't stop herself from getting caught in the moment. Every interaction with Conrad pulls her back into memories she thought she left behind. Every conversation with Jeremiah reminds her of the safety she could have if she chose differently. It's like watching someone stand on a tightrope, swaying between two choices, knowing a fall is inevitable. And just when you think things can't get more complicated, the writers throw in the ultimate curveball. Conrad makes a move that changes everything. He doesn't just confess, he acts, and that action shatters whatever fragile balance was left. Jeremiah sees it, Belly feels it, and in that instant, the triangle shifts from tension to explosion. You can almost hear the sound of hearts breaking, not just one, but all three at once. By the close of this section of the story, the Paris dream is gone. The romantic city lights can't hide the heartbreak anymore. What was supposed to be a new beginning for Belly has become the stage for the Fisher brothers' undoing, and the haunting part, you can tell it's only going to get worse from here. Because once the truth is out, there's no taking it back, and once lines are crossed, you can't uncross them. Episode 10 makes one thing brutally clear: no matter who Belly ends up with, the cost will be higher than anyone imagined, and as the tension keeps rising, you start to wonder, was this love triangle ever about love at all? Or was it always destined to end in heartbreak? By the time we reach this point in episode 10, it's clear the story isn't just about love anymore, it's about survival. Not in the literal sense, but in the emotional one, because when you strip away the Paris setting, the dreamy backdrops, and all the distractions, what you're left with is three people standing in the wreckage of everything they thought they wanted. And the truth is brutal, none of them can come out of this without scars. Belly is at the center of the storm, and for the first time, you can actually see how much the pressure is breaking her. She's always been torn between these two brothers. But in this episode, she realizes the choice isn't as simple as who she loves more. It's about who she's willing to lose, because the sad reality is, she can't keep both. And that realization hits like a tidal wave. You can see it in her face, the way her confidence slips, the way her carefully constructed new life starts to crumble the second Conrad and Jeremiah step into it. It's like Paris itself fades into the background, and all that's left is the weight of decisions she doesn't want to make. What makes this section so suspenseful is how quiet some of the moments are. We've had the shouting, the confessions, the heartbreak. But now, it's the silence that cuts the deepest. Belly sitting alone, staring at Conrad's letter. Jeremiah refusing to meet her eyes at dinner. Conrad waiting outside, knowing she's torn but hoping anyway. It's those little pauses, those stretches of silence, that remind us just how fragile everything is. And sometimes, silence speaks louder than words. But let's talk about Conrad for a second. Because in this part of the episode, he finally becomes the most honest version of himself we've ever seen. No walls, no cold distance, just Conrad, vulnerable and unfiltered. He admits that running from Belly was the worst mistake of his life. He admits that no matter what he does, he can't stop loving her. And the way he looks at her in these moments, it's not just longing, it's desperation. He knows he might not get another chance. And for the first time, Conrad puts everything on the line, even if it means losing his brother forever. Jeremiah's response to all of this is what makes the story so heartbreaking. Because instead of lashing out, instead of begging Belly to pick him, he goes quiet. He takes a step back, and in that silence, you realize something terrifying. Jeremiah might actually be the one strong enough to walk away. He's been the safe option, the dependable one, the brother who waits patiently in the background. But in this moment, he's done waiting. And that quiet strength feels more painful than any fight ever could. Because it forces Belly to see the truth she's been avoiding. Jeremiah deserves more than half a love. The suspense builds when Belly tries to convince herself she can still hold on to both. She clings to the idea that maybe time will heal things. Maybe the three of them can find a way back to normal, but deep down, she knows it's a lie. And as viewers, we know it too. Because after everything that's been said, there's no normal to go back to. The Paris trip isn't a summer getaway, it's the point of no return. One of the most haunting parts of this section is when Belly reflects on her past summers at Cousins Beach. The flash of nostalgia is bittersweet because you realize how much has changed. Those golden summers of swimming, laughing, and falling in love feel so far away now. And Belly knows it too. She knows the innocence is gone, the simplicity is gone, and the dream of having it all has been shattered, and that moment of realization is almost harder to watch than the fights. Because it's Belly admitting to herself that growing up means losing pieces of your past forever. Taylor's role here becomes crucial. She's the one pushing Belly to stop running, to stop hiding behind Paris, and to finally choose. She tells her bluntly that pretending doesn't protect anyone, it just drags out the pain, and while Belly doesn't want to hear it, she knows Taylor's right. That's what makes the tension so unbearable. Because every second Belly delays feels like she's pulling the brothers further apart, and Taylor, watching from the outside, knows exactly how high the stakes are, and then comes the kicker, the foreshadowing of what's to come. Because tucked into all the chaos is the hint of Conrad's plan. He's not just in Paris to confess. He's here to fight for her. He's ready to risk everything, even if Jeremiah never forgives him. And Belly, hearing this, feels the weight of it pressing down harder than ever. Because for the first time, she realizes Conrad isn't going to step back this time. He's not going to run, and that changes everything. By the end of this section, you can feel the air tightening, like the walls are closing in on all of them. Jeremiah is ready to walk, Conrad is ready to stay, and Belly is frozen between two choices that could define the rest of her life. And the scariest part, no matter what she does next, someone she loves will hate her for it. That's the kind of suspense that leaves you restless, waiting for the next scene, knowing the fallout will be brutal. Episode 10 doesn't feel like a love story anymore, it feels like a tragedy unfolding in real time. And watching Belly try to hold it all together is like watching someone grasp sand in their hands, only for it to slip away grain by grain. You know she's going to lose something precious. The only question is, which loss will hurt the most? By the time we hit the closing stretch of episode 10, it feels like everything we've been building toward since season 1 is about to implode. The love triangle that once felt dreamy and exciting has now turned into a battlefield where no one walks away unharmed, and the craziest part? The show doesn't give us the satisfaction of a clean answer, it drags us through every ounce of tension, every heartbreak, and every consequence before leaving us hanging on the edge of what comes next. Belly is at her absolute breaking point here. She's not just overwhelmed, she's unraveling. For so long, she's told herself that choosing between Conrad and Jeremiah was about following her heart. But in this episode, she realizes it's not that simple. Because choosing one doesn't just mean gaining love, it means losing a piece of her world forever. And that's the kind of decision that changes you. We see her trying to hold on, trying to be the girl who can fix everything, but by now, even she knows that's impossible. The guilt is written all over her face, and for the first time, Belly seems to accept that no matter what, she's going to break someone she loves. The suspense is unbearable, because the episode keeps dangling the answer in front of us without fully letting it land. You see the way she looks at Conrad, like she's still tethered to him, like no matter what happens, part of her soul belongs to him. You see the way Jeremiah's presence comforts her, how he makes her laugh when she feels like she's drowning, how he's the kind of love that promises stability instead of chaos. And in those moments, it feels like Belly is being pulled into different directions with equal force. It's a tug of war that has no winner, because whichever way she goes, something precious snaps. One of the most gut-wrenching moments comes when Jeremiah finally stops waiting. He tells Belly, point blank, that if she can't give him her whole heart, then he doesn't want any of it. That single line cuts deeper than any dramatic confession, because it's Jeremiah finally standing up for himself. He refuses to be the safety net, the second choice, the one she runs to when Conrad breaks her. And you can see Belly's heart shatter at those words, not just because she knows he's right, but because she knows she might lose him for good. And Conrad? His vulnerability here is almost unbearable to watch. He's not the boy who hides behind sarcasm anymore. He's not the cold, distant figure we've seen in past seasons. He's just Conrad, heartbroken, desperate, and willing to risk everything. He admits he's made mistakes, he admits he's hurt her, but he begs her to see that his love has never gone away. And the way he says it, You can tell it's not just a plea for Belly's love, it's a plea for forgiveness. For a second chance to prove he can be the man she needs. The backdrop of Paris only makes it more surreal. The glowing streets, the sound of the city, the romantic atmosphere, it all feels cruelly ironic because while the world outside is dripping with romance, the world inside these three characters is falling apart. The city of love has turned into the city of heartbreak. And every corner seems to remind them that love isn't always beautiful, sometimes it's brutal. By now, the audience is holding its breath, waiting for Belly to finally choose. But the genius of this episode is that it doesn't give us the neat resolution we crave. Instead, it leaves us dangling. We see Belly on the edge, torn, staring into the eyes of the boy who broke her heart and the boy who held it together. We hear her voice crack, we see her tears. And we realize the decision isn't just about who she loves, it's about who she's willing to lose. And when the screen cuts, you're left with that sinking feeling that no matter what happens next, there's no happy ending where everyone walks away smiling. The suspense of this finale doesn't just come from the love triangle, it comes from the bigger question of what happens to the Fisher family after this. Because if Belly chooses Conrad, does Jeremiah forgive him? If Belly chooses Jeremiah, does Conrad ever come back from that? And if she chooses no one, does she lose them both? These aren't just romantic questions, they're questions about family, brotherhood, and whether bonds forged over a lifetime can survive the weight of betrayal. And that's what makes this ending so powerful. It's not the fairy tale Paris promised, it's not the dreamy summer we started with, it's messy, it's painful, and it's real. The Summer I Turned Pretty Season 3 Episode 10 doesn't tie a bow on the story, it rips it open wider, reminding us that love is complicated, that growing up means making impossible choices, and that sometimes, no matter what you do, someone ends up broken. By the time the credits roll, you're left with more questions than answers. Will Belly follow her heart or protect what's left of the Fisher brothers' bond? Will Jeremiah walk away for good, or is there still a chance for forgiveness? Will Conrad finally get the redemption he's been chasing, or will he lose everything? In the process, the show doesn't tell us because the truth is, life doesn't work like that. Love stories don't always end cleanly, and heartbreak doesn't come with closure. And that's exactly why this episode is unforgettable. It's raw, it's painful, and it forces us to sit in the messiness of love and loss. Belly's choice isn't just about romance, it's about who she is, who she wants to be, and what she's willing to sacrifice. And as much as we want an answer, the not knowing makes it even more powerful. So, as we close this chapter, one thing is certain, The Summer I Turned Pretty is no longer just a story about first loves and summer crushes, it's a story about growing up, about choices that shape your future, and about the fact that sometimes, no matter how pretty the summer starts, it can end in heartbreak.